set?
Yes.
I'm just gonna open it and then wait, then adjourn for 10 minutes, okay?
Here.
Okay, so, yeah, I'm gonna call this meeting of the select board to order. This is only one thing on the agenda, and then it's the budget presentation in anticipation of the budget vote tomorrow. I guess we do technically have to ask if there's any public comment. I don't see any public here, but if there is anybody here, they're welcome to make a comment. Let out the staff, anybody who makes any comments, you know. But seeing no responses to that, and given the lack of attendance, I'm going to adjourn the meeting for 10 minutes and recess for 10 minutes. And we'll be back at 7:14. So we are in recess.
Dodgeball.
Kickball.
Dodgeball. Yep. Oh.
Take it away.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you for everyone tuning in at Town Meeting TV this evening or in the tomorrow as well. We are here for a public information hearing on the revised fiscal year 2025 budget to be considered on tomorrow, on May 21st, at the Williston Armory, when voting will be available from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. At town meeting day, the FY25 budget was not supported by the voters, so the town's undergone a process to present a revised budget to consider at this special town meeting. The select board took the following approach in looking how to revise the budget. The board received public feedback, held work sessions in March and April during select board meetings. The board targeted a decrease in property taxes from the prior budget version and a decrease in spending from the prior budget version, and utilized additional reserve funds to balance the budget. So there's one article on the warning for this special town meeting. It's the budget article to consider this fiscal year 2025 budget. And just to recap, the budget is the town's spending plan to provide services, the expenses to provide those services, the cost to provide those services, and the revenue to pay for services to balance the budget. It's the best revenue and spending model we have with the information available. This budget would be in effect July 1st of this year to June 30th of 2025. And the town must consider a balanced budget each year that the voters consider at town meeting day. So to get by the numbers for this budget proposal being considered at the special town meeting, it's just over $15 million. It provides services in the community from police to fire EMS, public works, recreation, library, and everything in between. It's about a 7.6% increase from the current fiscal year 2024 budget. And looking for these changes from the town meeting budget that was not supported is about a $310,000 expense reduction. That's about 2% overall. The estimated tax rate increase has been cut in half to 2 cents per $100 of assessment. This is down from 4 cents per $100 of assessment in the town meeting version of the budget. And just a brief rundown of what those reductions looked like that the select board worked with staff on in March and April. Eliminations of a new position of human resources director, reducing funds for capital savings accounts for future capital equipment replacement for a number of items, some staff training and equipment, some part-time and on-call staff wages, path paving and sidewalk replacement, looking to expand the library hours a few hours per week, building maintenance, technology, and miscellaneous items. Add up those items, and get to $310,000 or the 2% reduction. What that means for property taxes, essentially when the town sets the property tax component of the budget, all other revenue sources are analyzed first before seeing what remains to balance the budget with those property taxes raised. An estimated rate is provided, but as a reminder, we won't have the final grand list until next month. The board would then set the tax rate in late June or early July. The tax bills are sent out by July 15th, and the first payment is due by August 15th. So this projected tax rate increase is 2 cents per $100 of assessed property value. That would be an estimated rate of 0.3562 cents per $100 of assessed value, about 5.9% when compared to FY24. And again, that increase is now cut in half from the budget proposal at town meeting, which was estimated at about 4 cents. Another way to think about this is a $20 increase per $100,000 of property value. Our median Williston home is assessed at about $300,000, and that would mean about a $60 increase for that median home in town, or about $5 per month. And a reminder, this is a tax rate for your municipal services in town. The education tax rate is separate, but all taxes do appear on the same tax bill as the town is the agent to collect these taxes. And I'll kind of just briefly go through the other components here. The real story behind this budget is the cost to provide services, primarily with staffing. Town employs over 100 employees. To provide this level of services, it's really looking to maintain our robust staffing that we have in the town and being able to attract and retain employees. We have experienced a number of open positions, especially in public safety, over the last couple of years. We have 24/7 police, fire, EMS services in town. It's certainly a pressure many communities are facing to provide this level of service. It's a critical core public service we provide. And 2/3 of our overall expense budget is tied to public safety costs. We also see our health insurance continue to increase. We changed our health plan from the gold to the silver Blue Cross Blue Shield plan earlier this year. We would have seen a $250,000 increase rather if we stuck with that plan. We've decreased that change to about $120,000 increase by making that change in plan selection. The town pays over $1.5 million in employee health insurance costs each year. You also see the effect of inflation on this budget. It's cooling a little bit, but we still see it throughout this budget proposal. A couple service enhancements that are still in this budget. Adding an 18th sworn police officer halfway through the year will allow us to rotate someone into the detective role. That was a top priority identified in our analysis study by Colonel Jim Baker last year. And also, we would provide body cameras for our police officers. It's a critical tool for officer safety and accountability, and this expense would come in the form of a lease payment. I'll skip through the charts here briefly. With one mention of our revenue budget as well, about 2/3 of our operating expenses are wages and benefits, and then we see other major areas of capital items and contracted services, maintenance, among others. When you think about expense by department, about 2/3 of the expense by department is for police, fire, and public works services to the community. Then on the revenue side of the budget, we raise revenue using user fees, state and federal grants, host town fees, local option tax, property taxes, reserve funds. Our property tax is just over half of our revenue. Our local option tax is just over a quarter, and user fees and other revenue is about 1/5 to the last quarter to round that out. Then taking a little closer look at our grand list, it's the measure of all property values in town, the basis for determining the tax rate with the amount of taxes to raise. We're anticipating a flat grand list for FY25, and there's two major factors that are affecting this. We have a depreciation factor by Vermont Gas Systems that was not previously applied by its staff. It's about a $6 million decrease in our grand list. We also anticipate there may be some commercial property appeals forthcoming in the next month or two. We see the new growth all around town, but what we're being conservative with is that new growth may cancel out these possible reductions that we're seeing in our grand list. So we're anticipating a flat grand list for FY25, and the effect of the flat grand list is about 1/4 cent on the town tax rate. So one way to examine the grand list is the type of property use that's assessed. The grand list is about $2.15 billion. Residential property taxes, a residential property makes up about 57% of that. That would raise a little over $4.33 million in tax revenue. Commercial is about 30% of our grand list. We estimate we'd raise about just under $2.3 million in tax revenue. Our other property types, industrial, utilities, the other 13%. And we estimate that's about $1.4 million in tax revenue. So another way to look at it with a revenue overview is you think about the commercial, industrial, and these other property tax types, utilities, industrial, plus our local option sales of rooms and meals tax. In the budget, that's about $7.5 million of our revenue, or 50%. The residential property tax is about $4.3 million, or about just under a third. And all these other revenues in the budget are about 1/5 or 21% to round out the budget. Let's briefly look at our tax rate. It's the third lowest in Chittenden County. Our local option tax offsets this by about 19 cents per $100 of value. A cent on our Williston tax rate raises about $215,000. The amount of services the town provides for this tax rate is significant in comparison to our peer communities. And just briefly on the town's fund balance, some questions came up regarding this over the last month and a half. It essentially serves as our rainy day fund. The town's budgeted a deficit in order to utilize some of these funds as operating revenue for a number of years. They're used to reduce the tax burden and for capital expenses. Historically, this growth in the fund balance occurs when more local option sales tax revenue comes in than estimated. Other factors include the expense lines that are underspent from a prior year for things like open staff positions contribute to that. This budget proposal uses about $688,000 of this unassigned fund balance to reduce taxes. That's an increase of about $125,000 from the town meeting version of the budget in early March. Select Board policy calls for this unassigned fund balance to be between 10 and 20% of the operating budget. Our conservative projection for the end of fiscal year 2025 is this fund balance of about $2.4 million, or about 16% of the operating budget, falling just over the midpoint of this interval by Select Board policy. Certainly visit our town website if you're looking to learn more. I hit some highlights from the executive summary in this budget, but there's also a line-by-line breakdown for how every penny in the budget is spent. Certainly reach out to me before you vote tomorrow if you have any questions. And again, voting is available at the Armory from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Tuesday, May 21st. And that concludes my presentation. I don't think there's anyone else that came in.
Is there anything from any member of the board? Or shall we adjourn? Okay, so presentation being completed, that concludes our agenda, and we are adjourned. Thank you.